courtroom didn't laugh quietly. It exploded. Not because something funny was said, but because a little black girl stood up. The judge squinted over his glasses, irritated. The prosecutor smirked. Someone in the gallery whispered, "Is this a joke?" The girl's voice shook, but it didn't break. "I'll defend my dad." That's when the judge waved his hand like he was swatting a fly. "Get that child out of my courtroom." More laughter. Someone clutched their purse tighter. Someone else muttered something cruel under their breath. What no one realized was that the smallest person in that room was about to expose the biggest lie they'd ever told. And by the end of the day, the same judge who mocked her would be forced to apologize. Publicly. The bailiff took one step forward, unsure whether to touch her or not. The girl didn't move. She stood frozen in place, her small hands clenched. At her sides, her chest rising and falling fast. Fear was there. Anyone could see it. But something stronger held her upright. Her father stood at the defense table. His wrists were free, but his shoulders were heavy, bent under a weight no chains could compare to. His name was Marcus Reed. 39 years old, a construction worker, a widower, a man who had learned to survive by keeping his head down and his mouth shut. He had been accused of armed robbery. No weapon had been found, no fingerprints, no clear video, just a witness who said he looked like the man. Marcus had seen this story before. It never ended well. "Naomi," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Baby, please sit down." The little girl turned her head slowly and looked at him. Her eyes were wide, wet, and serious in a way no child's eyes should ever be. "If I sit," she said softly, "they'll take you away." The courtroom fell quiet again. Not respectful quiet. Uncomfortable quiet. The judge leaned forward, annoyed. "What is your name, child?" "Naomi Reed," she said. "I'm 8. A few people scoffed. The prosecutor folded his arms, clearly entertained. "And you believe you can defend your father?" the judge asked, his tone sharp with sarcasm. Naomi nodded. "Yes, sir." The judge sighed deeply. "This is not a movie. This is a court of law." Naomi swallowed hard. "Then why does everyone treat it like a joke when my dad is on trial?" That question hit harder than anyone expected. The judge paused. The prosecutor quickly stepped in. "Your Honor, this is emotional theater. Children are easily coached. This has no legal value." "I'm not coached," Naomi said quickly. "I'm scared." Her voice cracked, just once. "And I remember things when I'm scared." The judge studied her for a moment longer than he meant to. "What do you remember?" he asked. Naomi took a deep breath. "The night they say my dad robbed that store. He was with me." A ripple of disbelief spread across the room. "With you?" the prosecutor said, laughing. "At the exact time of the robbery?" "Yes," Naomi said. "At home." The judge leaned back slightly. "Go on." "That night," Naomi said, "Daddy came home early. He never does that. He always works late." Marcus closed his eyes. "He made dinner," she continued. "He burned it a little. We laughed." Someone in the back wiped their eyes, surprised, at themselves. "Then he helped me with my homework, math. I don't like math." A faint smile touched the judge's face before he stopped himself. "And later?" he asked. "I heard sirens," Naomi said. "I got scared. My mom used to say sirens mean someone doesn't come home." The room stiffened. "My daddy came to my room. He sat on the floor. He held my hand." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He promised he wasn't going anywhere." The prosecutor stepped forward again. "Your Honor, this is unreliable memory." "What time was this?" the judge asked, interrupting him. Naomi thought carefully. "I looked at the clock. It was 8:10. The judge froze. The report on his desk said the robbery occurred at 8:12 p.m. "You're sure?" the judge asked. Yes, Naomi said. Because my show ends at 8. I always check the time after. The judge adjusted his glasses. And did your father leave the house after that? No, Naomi said. I fell asleep holding his hand. Marcus's breath hitched. The courtroom no longer felt amused. The judge turned to the prosecutor. What evidence places the defendant at the scene at exactly 8:12? The prosecutor hesitated. A witness statement. One witness? The judge asked. Yes. Any physical evidence? No. The judge leaned back slowly. His voice dropped. So we have a man accused based on appearance, and a child who remembers exact minutes because she was afraid. The room felt heavy now. Naomi reached into her small backpack with shaking hands and pulled out a notebook. I write things down, she said. My teacher says writing helps you remember. She handed it to the bailiff. The judge opened it. Childish handwriting, crooked letters. Daddy came home early. We ate together. He helped me with math. He stayed when I was scared. The page was dated. The night of the robbery. The judge closed the notebook slowly. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the judge looked directly at Marcus. Stand up, he said. Marcus did. I have dismissed cases like this before, the judge said quietly. And I was wrong. A sharp breath ran through the gallery. This court dismisses the charges, the judge said firmly. Effective immediately. Marcus's knees gave out. He collapsed to the floor as Naomi ran into his arms. The judge removed his glasses. And Naomi, he said, his voice thick, this court owes you an apology. The courtroom stood in silence. Because a little black girl had done what no lawyer, no argument, and no system had done that day. She told the truth, and this time, someone listened. The courtroom did not clap. It did not cheer. It stayed silent, because no one there had expected to feel ashamed. Marcus held Naomi tightly, his arms wrapped around her small body as if the world might try to take her again. His shoulders shook, but he did not cry out loud. Years of holding things in had taught him how to break quietly. Naomi pressed her face into his chest. She could finally breathe. The judge remained seated for a moment longer, staring at the empty space in front of him. The courtroom that had once felt routine now felt unfamiliar, heavy, exposed. He had made decisions like this before. Quick ones, clean ones, decisions that fit neatly into schedules and statistics. But none of them had ever looked back at him with 8-year-old eyes. The prosecutor cleared his throat. Your Honor, if I may... The judge raised his hand. No, he said. You may not. The prosecutor froze. The judge stood up slowly. This court, he said, failed today. A murmur moved through the room. I failed, the judge continued, not because I followed the law, but because I forgot why it exists. He looked directly at Naomi. You were laughed at, he said. You were dismissed, and I allowed it. The judge turned toward the gallery. That was wrong. Marcus lifted his head, stunned. In all my years on this bench, the judge said, I have asked witnesses to be precise. I have demanded facts, timelines, proof. He paused. And today the most precise witness was the one I almost removed from this courtroom. The silence felt different now, respectful. The judge stepped down from the bench. Gasps echoed softly. Judges did not do that. He stopped in front of Naomi. I owe you an apology, he said clearly. Not as a judge, as a person. Naomi looked up at him, unsure. I should have listened first, he continued, instead of assuming. He straightened. And for that, he said, turning to the room, I apologize publicly. No one spoke, no one laughed, because everyone understood what they had witnessed. Outside the courtroom, news spread quickly. A father freed. A child who spoke. A judge who stepped down. People gathered in the hallway. Some cried. Some avoided eye contact. Others stood frozen, realizing they had been part of something they would never forget. A reporter approached Marcus cautiously. "Sir," she said, "how does it feel to be free?" Marcus looked down at Naomi. "I never stopped being free," he said. "I just needed someone to listen." Naomi squeezed his hand. That night, their apartment felt warmer than it ever had. Marcus cooked dinner again, burned it again. Naomi laughed again, but this time, when sirens echoed outside, Naomi didn't flinch. "Daddy?" she asked. "I'm here," he said. "Always." Across town, the judge sat alone in his study. He opened old case files, ones he had ruled on quickly, ones that looked a little different now. He thought about how easily laughter had filled that room, how easily he had waved his hand, and how close he had come to silencing the truth. The next week, the judge requested a formal review of eyewitness-only cases. He ordered new training, bias awareness, child witness sensitivity. Some called it unnecessary, others called it overdue. Naomi returned to school. Her teacher knelt beside her desk. "I heard what you did," she said softly. Naomi shrugged. "I just told the truth." The teacher smiled through tears. Sometimes courage doesn't roar. Sometimes it trembles. Months later, Marcus walked Naomi to school every morning. People looked at them differently now. Not with suspicion, with respect. And somewhere in a courthouse, a plaque was quietly added near a small courtroom. It read, "Justice begins when we listen." Naomi never saw it. She didn't need to. She had already taught it.